Hello, this is Yaakov Kronenberg from Jerusalem, and tonight we'll be doing another class in a series of classes on Cancer ascendant and the moon, the ruling planet, and the different signs. Tonight we're going to be talking about the moon in Pisces. The moon in Pisces with a Cancer ascendant is usually an excellent combination. For a number of reasons. First of all, they're in the same element, which means they're trying to each other, and they're both water, and so it gives a good emotional nature. A moon in Pisces makes a very sympathetic person, very understanding person, a person who's very concerned a lot of times about other people, and it's a person who's very much into themselves. Tonight we're going to be we'll talk about an actor who is very much into himself, that he could, get into. He tremendously tried to get into every part that he was playing, acting in some kind of thing called method acting, where you try to put yourself in the shoes of the other person. And that comes from the great sympathy for other people, feeling of other people. But in any case, getting back to this, if you talk about the moon being in Pisces, so it's a very emotional type of sign. Very again, also the Cancer, they're a very, very emotional type of person. Very wants emotional security in life. A person who's got that double Pisces, has the Cancer ascendant and the moon in Pisces, they have very great need for emotional security. They can have it's very important to them to feel secure emotionally. Right? It's a little different. Like if you got Earth sign, you have something like Taurus on the ascendant. The person wants financial security. You get Aquarius. They want intellectual security. They want to believe that everything they think is right. They want other people to agree with them to what they think, and things like that, and so, but the water sign Cancer wants emotional security. These are all the fixed signs, right? Taurus wants financial security, and Aquarius, say fixed sign, wants the intellectual security, and you get the Leo, the fire, the fixed Leo. They want. They want to be honored. They want always to be honored. They want the security of being respected. Let's put it that way. They want the respect, and that makes them feel secure when they're respected and admired and by people. But anyway, getting back to the Cancer ascendant, it's going to be the emotionality, and you have the ruling planet in the 9th house. When the ruling planet, the moon, is in the 9th house, it usually gives an interest in religion, philosophy, higher education, and things like that. And so tonight I'm going to do a horoscope of a person, show you how why sometimes it doesn't work that way. Right? You always have to look. You can always have a general meaning. Everything can mean the same thing. That if you have a planet in the 9th house, it means you could be interested in religion. It could mean you're totally against religion, but you're interested in higher education or some kind of weird philosophy or something like that. So you always have to look and analyze the house closely. There's going to be an interest in that area of life, but you don't know how it's going to work itself out. And that takes a lot of years of experience, of practice with horoscopes to try to figure out, to integrate the whole horoscope to see how a particular house will manifest itself. How do you know, say, the 9th house is strong? How do you know? Does it mean they're going to want to spend their life traveling, seeking adventure? Does it mean they're going to want to become a life in the a university type of life, professor, or things like that? Or they want to get involved in religion or law? Maybe they'll become a lawyer. All those areas are so. How do you know which one will take precedence? So all that, it takes really years of practice and ability to understand the whole horoscope, really. Of course, you can just ask the client, how does that house manifest, to get some feedback. But in any case, I want to do a chart tonight. A very famous man. He's considered one of the great actors of his time. His name is Robert De Niro, I think. And he was considered a top actor. And he's got a very interesting horoscope. He's actually got the ruler in the 9th, and it's 9 signs from the ascendant, but it is in the same sign as the 10th house cusp. So it's going to be involved for the career, and it's going to be involved in 9th house affairs. So in the career, though, it looks like, and somehow he's using it mostly for his career. Like I talked about before, he was involved in what's called method acting, is where you put yourself into the part of other people. If he was going to be a taxi driver, he would work a couple months first as a taxi driver to get what it feels like to be a taxi cab driver. He was a boxer who was very heavy. He put on 60 pounds to feel like what that person is. And that's the moon in Cancer. You're able to put yourself in other people's shoes, which not everybody can do. And that's his great ability for fame, is that he had the ability he has the ability to put himself in other people's shoes, to be other people. And that way he can play a lot of different parts, because he has the ability to a shamil, like what is it called? Chamelin, like a nature where he can put himself in and become other people. And he has a great ability at that. That's what you see from the moon there, trying his ascendant, exactly trying his ascendant. So it gives him this great ability to do that. It's very connected with his. Actually, if you look at his chart, so anyway, the moon, though, if you look at the moon, it gets a square from Saturn, and so that I think takes away a lot of his religious propensities. Saturn sort of cools down a little bit. That moon, it's not a strong opposition, 10 degrees. But the Saturn is also square his. It's a tight square it's a fairly tight square also to his Venus and Mercury and Neptune, which are all opposed to his moon. So he has what do we call a T-square between the Saturn and moon and the 3 planets in Virgo, the Mercury and the Venus and the Neptune. So that made him added a seriousness. It adds a seriousness to the person, but it disrupts. For example, normally we would say an ascendant with the ruling planet of the 9th, the person is going to go for a higher education, right? But in his chart, because of the Saturn square and the oppositions, maybe from the let's say from Mercury and Venus, it pulled him away from higher education. And also the square from Uranus. He also has Uranus square the moon. It sort of pulled him away from learning. It's interesting, if you look at his chart, he's got Neptune in the 4th house, and it's possible to say that also the moon and Mercury are also working for the 4th house. Moon and Mercury means he comes from a very artistic family. Right, the 4th house is the family. And when you see the moon and when you see Mercury and Venus there, it means the parents were very artistic, intellectual. Right? He grew up in Greenwich Village. Now, when you have Neptune in the 4th house, it's very interesting. I've talked about this a number of times. Neptune is the planet of secrets, of things that are very weird. So a person who has the Neptune in the 4th house, you can always ask him about his family history, and they'll always tell you something that's really something that's very unusual, very. I know my father's example. He had the Neptune in the 4th house, and his mother died in childbirth. He had a difficult 4th house, so the mother died in childbirth when he was born, and he was raised by his mother's sister and somebody else, or another relative who was an important judge, and they were very wealthy when they were young, and then they lost their money. But anyway, he had stories to tell about his 4th house. And this man, Mr. De Niro, his 4th house, his father was married to the mother, and they were thought of as one of the couples in the artist Greenwich Village circle. And then one day his father revealed that he was homosexual and ran off with a guy. Right? So that's an example of like Neptune in the 4th house. Especially here, he's got a Neptune conjunct the Venus, the planet of love. So there was you see that there. In any case, I thank everybody for listening and hope they enjoyed the class.